Here we are, an old friend.
Welcome back to Florida.
Let me see if I, yeah, no, it's cool. 4 years later, we get an update with you. I called you the Nomadic Gardner because you are farming Florida in the winter and Maine in the summer.
Yep, and I'm still doing that.
What? It's been 5 years. Yes, you would. Fact checker.
Okay.
5 years, 5 years.
Yeah,
okay.
We're both a little older.
So, look at this. Look at this front yard. This is in Florida. Are you making this more normal anywhere? Is there anybody on the street saying, hey?
As far as people follow?
Yeah, let's grow a few veggies in the yard.
Phase, but you know, it takes a lot of effort. So, you know, people that jump in and they just get, you know, discontented with all the work, and you know, so I've been able to continue it, which is great. You know, I've been doing it for almost 10 years. So it's proven it's a viable way of making a living. This looks like something out of a magazine. This could be okay in a Martha Stewart magazine. Yeah, and that's the whole idea, that it can fit into an urban landscape without having, you know, the permaculture police get called, you know, and say, oh, it's ugly. Yeah, the neighbors aren't calling on you. No, they come down here to buy the veggies. Right. That's cool. Hey, Henry. What is the trick? I see mulch. But you tell me what the trick is to keeping it beautiful like this. Well, you know, you pointed and called it mulch, but you know, it's 3/4 finished compost from the city yard waste facility, right? So they pile up hundreds and hundreds of yards, 10, 12 feet tall, and so it goes hot. You know, it's 160 degrees when they shovel into it, so there's no weed seeds. And I cover it twice a year with an inch of the new compost. So there's a lot of different media in there, so there's wood chips, fines, and what I do is as soon as I you know, spread it out, it's still hot. So I'm considering that's like soil life, right? You know, and so I water it in because otherwise they die right away. But I kind of push it into the soil underneath, and the woody chips float to the top, so I've got a woody mulch that doesn't have splash for my veggies. Plus I'm also, just think about what I'm doing there. I'm pushing water through compost, so I'm compost teeing the ground, kind of preparing it for the next year. I mean, it's not science, but it seems to work good for me. And that's pretty much it. It looks good. Some of the more wood chippy stuff has risen to the top, and it's going to keep your weeds at bay. Well, and yeah, because there was no weeds brought in with it, you know, that's also the problem. And then the whole idea that we want this perfect finished compost. You know, the woody debris is going to have different stuff. You pick that up, and I've had plants go right into that. So they're looking for stuff. We want to get rid of it because we don't want that, but the plants are wanting that, and then the little critter will hide underneath that, right? And so it'll be diversity in soil life, because our fertility is held in the bodies of our soil life. That's a whole new concept for me. You know, it's not a chemical thing. All those organisms are holding it, dying, living, pooping, having sex, the whole thing. And it's how nature feeds, right? So it's balanced. Different than when we even throw that, you know, 666, that's crazy. Even manure, we can overdo it, out of balance. Nature feeds the right way, so things stay in balance. You're just working with nature. I'm trying to find a weed. It's very few. You know, my biggest weeds are, see those things along the wall? Yes, these flowers. I'm not finding any weeds along this way. Nope. I'm not gonna do it. That's not even a weed, isn't it? That's a plant. That's sweet potato. Oh my gosh. All the weeds are kind of beneficial. The nasturtiums just come up. So this? Yeah, that just, you know, sits also. Oh, that's your weed problem. Yep. A beautiful flower. Which I put in the garnish for my I thought you were saying there might be weeds coming around here because of the rock wall, the little no, that's what comes up. You know, I do have issues because nobody's here for 5 months of the year. You know, so there is some nutsedge comes in. The Bermuda grass will creep into the bed, but I can push it back, put the new mulch down, and the weeds are gone. So what do you plant for the 5 months? So black-eyed peas and sweet potatoes. So if you look at any of Pete's videos, imagine a perfect layer, the wall height, this whole thing. It's amazing. And then, you know, I come back to, you know, 1,500, 2,000 pounds of sweet potato. You always stay in the good weather, too. So great. So fresh here right now in Florida. It's right now. Yeah, so and the veggies are loving it. It's been hot. And this is how it feels in Maine in the
in the morning in the summer.
It does.
It's just great.
Summer in Maine.
It's nice,
is like
brisk morning.
Yep.
I'm gonna find a weed, and you're gonna show us how you deal with the weeds.
Well, here's a weed.
Okay, that's right. Weed.
Let me grab a pitchfork.
Oh look, I know. He knew right where one was.
Well,
is it bothering you?
Yeah, they always bother me. But just think about it as a farmer. You don't have weeds. That's such a stressful thing that, oh my God. So here's something called nutsedge.
Oh, you found a weed.
Right? And so the way to get nutsedge is to pop it like this and then trace the nut.
Oh, look at you. Look at you.
So if I would have missed that.
If you just pulled it, you would have pulled this and you would have thought you got it.
Right, and these two would keep coming up.
Wow. You've put down compost for how many years?
Well, this is probably 12 years over there. This is probably 7.
Look how deep that is. How deep is that?
Well, look at grade.
How long till you get to the Florida shell?
It's not shell, it's the sugar sand.
Ah, get us to some sugar sand. Look at this.
And it's turned into,
oh my God.
See, it's turned into
there it is.
Dark sugar sand.
There it is. You're about a foot and a half.
Yeah. I mean, that's where there's so much fertility here. And it's all from my neighbor's yard waste.
My goodness. And you take your little red truck and go get this compost?
Yep, it's free.
Or do they bring it here?
They will bring it.
But most people?
I want to determine when it shows up, when I can use it. So if they just dump it in a pile, it's so easy to, get it out of a truck.
Do most people have that available for free?
Yep.
Do they? All the city public works would have it?
Yeah. It's a big pile. Yeah. I mean, they get a 3
like, I mean, bucket in Florida, but
no.
What if somebody's in South Carolina or something?
No, this is a groundbreaking thing for a municipal government to do.
Okay. All right.
So they've got like probably 6 guys full time running around the city picking up piles, taking it somewhere, and then they bring a company in to chip it, and then they offer it back to us.
What would you do if that wasn't available? Would this
move
be
to Maine?
Move to Maine.
I couldn't see I've seen how fertile it could be, so I might consider buying in. I've got so much fertility here, I could bring wood chips in as a mulch and it wouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
But I just
it's hard to start with wood chips, isn't it?
It is, unless you're willing to wait a couple years.
Yeah. Okay.
But I've turned, I used to tell people 3 years if you start from scratch with this yard waste facility stuff. That bed is only a year old. Outside.
Okay.
I didn't plant that before. So that's pretty fertile. Not quite as good as here, but it's pretty
you can tell. Let's look at the difference. So you got some maybe a hair scrawny.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Is that the same plant right there? Is there your collard?
That is the curly kale, and there's some curly kale
let's get some.
there.
Okay, so he's got a curly kale right there. There we go. Yeah.
But I've been harvesting it.
Yeah.
Pretty heavy.
You've been heavy on it.
Yeah.
So, and you got some starts here right along your rock wall.
You kind of caught me in the middle of stuff, because if you would have got here 2 weeks ago, this whole wall would have been full of seedlings.
Okay.
So they're all there and over there.
Is this another trick? This dense spacing for one, but also multiple species?
Well, I always thought that when I first started planting, instead of having a monocrop, a 100-foot row of collards is a monocrop.
Yeah.
I mean, even though organic farms don't consider it that. Whereas if you mix it up like this, if something gets a problem, it's not going to wipe me out because I can just get something else.
Yeah.
But it seems to work pretty good, and then the difference in minerals or whatever each one needs, it doesn't seem to be a problem. So I can continually plant stuff over and over. And then the idea using that space, the space of this unbelievable fertility and the sunlight. So I interplant. So as I put these chard and cabbage in, I put blocks of the turnips, right?
Yeah.
So as these will finish in 30 days. The chard takes about 50 days to get to here. So I use that sunlight and fertility to get a crop out of it, right?
Yeah.
And then the other one fills in, and so I've doubled my production out of the space. So I've doubled the size of my farm.
I see.
Think about that. Coleman talks about that a lot. And so, and I've also seen how I do that. I don't know, I mean, you've been visiting all them guys that got the mini lettuces.
Yeah.
And they harvest the 30-inch bed.
Microgreens?
Yeah, well, not microgreens, more so that baby lettuce.
Okay.
But I can go through this. It takes time, but I can go through this like I did this morning and take these, right, and put it in my mix. And this isn't baby. This is crunch. This is adolescent greens, like Saladin talks about adolescent grass.
Yeah.
It's what we want. It's heavier. I can go through this, and then 3 days later I can do it again.
Yeah.
And 3 days later I can do it again. It's more work, but I'm really increasing production out of this space. And you know, when I think about weight, I'm probably getting close to what they're getting out of it. Because I mean, if they cut and come again with their little machine with a DeWalt drill, I don't know if they get it again or not.
You have no machine.
No, everything's...
You have no machine. You have no tiller.
Nope.
You have no tilther, whatever they call that thing.
All I got is a wheelbarrow and a shovel for the mulch, and then the soil blockers for making the seedlings.
Is this keeping you young, Jim?
I think so.
Or is it wearing you out?
Nope, not yet. You know, I have a tendency to, if some's good, more is better.
Yeah.
But I think I'm in a, you know, really interesting space where I've been able to do this, and so I've got something going that nobody else is doing. And so I think it's important for me to show what's possible. And guys like you and Pete have been made that so much more valuable because so many people are hearing about it. I got people coming from other states to come and see this.
Cool.
And then they go and start it again.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, look at this. I mean, this is a big story. You have your whole yard, this whole yard, and that yard. What happened over there?
That's Mom's.
How did you? Oh,
so
that's your
mom. So I started
mom.
there, yeah. So that's Mom's. And so I'll plant that in a succession.
Okay.
You know, and then go back and start planting here again. I've learned that I can, you know, ramp up production. I've doubled production every year since I've been here. I don't know if I can do it this year, but
nice.
That's incredible.
Well, how did you convince Mom to let you put a garden in her yard?
They had to mow it anyway, right?
Yeah, I know.
And so, you know, it was always a mess when they come back in the, you know, because they're snowbirds too. And so that way I'd harvest the sweet potatoes. By the time she gets back, it's all clean with mulch and she's happy.
Yeah. So you
Plus she's eating good.
You said you're increasing production every year. What do you make in a month now these days?
You know, I think I've made as much as 7,500 1 month last year. But I had one day where I made 1,700.
1,700 in
Think
one
about
day
that.
at the farmer's market.
So I've kind of stepped it up again. So Tuesday is my farmer's market. So that's a good farmer's market. So I'll start at 4 o'clock in the morning with a headlight. You know, harvest for that, but I also got a CSA with like 20 people show up on Tuesday afternoon. Okay, so I do the farmer's market, get done at noon, come home, take a nap, get my CSA bags ready, and 3 o'clock they come pick up.
Yeah.
And then that day I ended up with $1,700 in cash.
I like it.
And so I concentrated my work day too, so now I can go fishing.
See, you're going fishing today.
I'm going fishing today.
I'm like, I know you're
Even with
busy.
this.
I came here and I'm like, I know you're busy, Jim. We don't have to take too long. He's like, oh no, I'm going fishing. I like this lifestyle that you've created for yourself. A nap, a siesta. Like, you can't do that out at the corporate office.
No, and you know, that's the nice thing about being your own boss.
Yeah, you can totally do that here.
Yeah.
And guilt-free. I mean, you got up early in the morning and when it was cool.
And it's so unique seeing the garden with a headlight.
Oh.
You wouldn't believe what the mulch looks like when the headlight flashes. There's all these little eyes that sparkle. There's little spiders. You wouldn't even see them. But it's almost magical.
So there's some enjoyment there then.
Yeah.
It's not all just about practicality there.
No, you want to try to enjoy as much as you can. And you know, it's a challenge too. So that's some of my joy and the challenge of showing. Yeah. And then the response to the patrons that come for your food. I mean, they almost bow to you.
Yeah.
Because it's so nutrient dense. They taste it and they tell me how long it lasts. And so there's an appreciation feedback loop. And that's the cool thing. Anybody that's ever talked about being a market or thought about being a market garden, you don't have to persuade people. And sales is not like that usually, because I wouldn't be a salesman. You just give them and they'll come. You know,
has that increased since 2020? More respect for you?
Yeah, because it's continual. You build up, you know, a following, just like you have on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, but with what's going on with the pandemic and supply chain issues and stuff like that, are you getting any more respect?
I'd say, you know, people, I think more so that people are seeing what's possible in a small space. I mean, you could feed your family out of just this bed.
Yeah,
you know?
It's true.
if you follow the same way I'm doing things, you know, and using that space really smartly.
How many square feet is this?
You know,
how big's your farm?
I think it's about, you know, right at a half acre, 22,000.
That's pretty good. 7,500 on a half acre.
Can I take off my shoes?
Month.
7,500 a month. Yeah, you were making 5.8 when I came 5 years ago.
Now it's
so
a
you were
really good
increasing.
year.
You were increasing big time.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's spread out, you know, for that time. And, you know, I'm incorporating the, you know, the nomadic thing. So I'm bringing a lot of stuff still back from Maine and taking stuff up to Maine from here.
Neat.
So I've got patrons following me in both neighborhoods.
And then people are buying from the local farm, but they're getting Maine goods.
They're getting
blueberries. They still know their farmer.
They're getting garlic. They're getting,
People in Florida are getting Maine grown
and they're
stuff,
waiting for
and
the
they
apples.
still know the farmer.
They're waiting for the apples.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, and you know, it's a similar. It used to be better going north with the citrus, but that's all disappeared because of the greening.
Yeah.
But you know, they're still waiting for me to get back. We got greenhouses up there, so I've definitely ramped up production there.
What would you want people to get out of this? What's the walkaway? I mean, look at this. I mean, they can see this, but in your heart,
the possibility
you're more than just a gardener.
You can feed yourself. We've lost that thing. We've got to go to the store to get our food. You know, great grandma used to do this for us. You know, and great grandma, the kids ate that food and they knew what it tastes like. You will not believe what food out of an organic garden can taste like. Even the industrial organic has nothing compared to what this is. The nutrient density is amazing. So that you can produce your own food, or if you're somebody that's interested in providing food for others. So I'm providing food for maybe 70 to 80 families. They're leafy greens,
on
right?
a half an acre in a normal neighborhood.
Using their yard waste, right? But think about how many 70 to 80 numbers of families are out in just this community. So we could support 50 farmers without any problem.
Wow.
Doing this.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, I think so. That's the biggest takeaway I can get from this.
And then there's this yard, there's this yard, there's this yard. My goodness. You said how many families?
I'd say 70 to 80.
You're feeding 70 to 80 in two houses.
Yep, between the CSAs
so let's say 40
and the farmers
families
market.
per house. How many houses are there? You feed hundreds of people off the same
But the thing is, it's like
street.
Elliot Coleman talks about eyes to acres.
Yeah.
You know, there's only a certain number of size you could get, and that's the thing we need. We don't want bigger farmers, we want more farmers.
Yeah, but couldn't it be also that this guy had a bee, he could have some bees, this guy could have some chickens.
Oh yeah, because I don't want animals.
You see what I'm saying?
You know what animals mean. Don't want animals.
Yeah, you'll do this guy, but that's the thing. They might not want this. They would rather raise some rabbits or something.
And that's what, you know, the 1930s, 20s America was like.
Yeah.
You know, no deed restrictions.
You could trade.
Yeah, you could do what
you could take some of your veggies and go over there and get some raw milk.
Right.
In exchange. Yeah. All right. Well, good. Thank you, Jim.
Sure.